Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance, where technology will kick your butt. So I was trying to get on Facebook. I was timely today, and I kept getting the black screen of death. Just on Facebook, I could get on all of my other things, but Facebook was giving me the black screen of death. So I ended up rebooting the phone, and here we are, but I have no idea what that was. So, a little disconcerting. But our reading for today, yes, it's a reading. We have a book instead of a card deck, is very reassuring and goes along with our 21 days of divine right timing and divine right order statements. So we will be reading those again today. Looks like somebody's here. Good morning. Welcome. Your name isn't rolling, but welcome to Facebook. Apparently, Facebook is having some little fits and starts and shits and giggles lately. So, hope you're all off to a good start to your day. It is still very, very dark here. I think, what is it supposed to do today? Snow, I believe, and tomorrow as well. So, good morning, Joe Neal. Welcome. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. So, and Gwen is here. Good morning. Practical Rebels starting to roll in. This is good. Get our fix for the day, the good stuff that's going to set us off on a mindful, conscious day. Good morning, Mel. Welcome, welcome. Practical Rebels in the house. This is good. This is good. And when I was picking this particular reading, the way I did it was I was looking at the edge of the book and I was looking for the lightest colored pages. I just thought some light would be good today. Let's represent that with the lightest colored pages. And I don't believe we've read this one for quite some time, so that is good. That is good. Let us start with some tapping and some breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel your shoulders drop. In through the nose. Good morning, Barb. Out through the mouth. Wiggling your neck, listening to the grinding and creaking in there. Little Rice Krispies going on. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Hello, Beth. Welcome, welcome. Lots of Practical Rebels rolling in. This is good. In through the nose. Hold at the top. And let it go. Hopefully that felt really good to you. Do that several times during the day. Just get some more air into the system. We have a hard time fully living a life when we're not taking in enough breath. Breath is life, right? So we need to keep being mindful of that and practicing that. So I have to tell you, yesterday I was working with my new, they're not CDs. I've got digital and I've got CDs coming because for the extra $30, I wanted all the bang for my buck I could get. And out of all of the options, there are 60 different downloads. I picked Fearlessness. Fearlessness. And it came with a bonus. It actually had a session A and a session B. So in the morning I listened to session A, and in the afternoon I listened to session B. And it was really good. So I have no idea what I'll pick for today. There's so many options. But I think what's going to happen is kind of like what happens with this, with YEMIG, that there will be chunks of time where I'm focused on a specific thing. And so I may be listening to the same one over and over and over again. I have found that has been immensely helpful as I'm working towards something. So when I was becoming a Mary Kay director, when I was going for my free car in Mary Kay, when I was finishing up my dissertation, all the biggies, right? I would utilize something that would be an audio of some sort and listen to it over and over and over. In the car, on repeat, all the way to work, all the way home from work, over. So I probably will be doing that with these as well. But for right now, I'm just going to be surveying, figuring out which ones are my favorites, which ones do I really like. But again, I feel like that what I'm gaining out of that will naturally and necessarily leak to all of you because I'm in relationship with you, right? So anticipate some of that coming your way. Oh, you missed it. Okay. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. Glad you're here. For Christmas, I decided to gift myself with, there was a man was doing his, like a 5-day, it was part of his funnel. And so I like doing those. I like seeing what other people are up to, et cetera, et cetera. He's out of Minneapolis. He's got an NLP background. He's a PhD psychologist. An NLP background and a bunch of other things that I really like. So what the end of the funnel was a 60 set. You could get CDs or digital, or for $30 more, both. So I went for both because in the past I have done a Deepak Oprah thing, one of which I bought the physical CDs and the others of all I had as downloads. And at various times, one or the other wasn't working for me and I wished I had both. So now I have both, 60 of them. But he picks various topics. It's everything from ideal weight to anxiety, depression, sales, achieving your goals, peak performance, just a bazillion different options. So I printed off all of the sheets with listing what each one was, and he had another deal where you could buy 3 and get 1 free. So I figured that's what I would do, is buy 3, get 1 free. And then I started checking off all the ones that I really wanted to listen to, and it was almost all of them. So I figured, I rarely buy myself stuff. I'm buying it. So now I have it. It's, some people call it holosync. Some people, so it's the audio that goes back and forth between your ears with headphones or earbuds in. And it's pretty cool because the one that I had in the past that I loved, but it was on cassette. That gives you an idea how old it was. That was just music going back and forth between your ears. This, he's actually saying one thing in one ear and one thing in another ear, but it's enough that you can follow both if you choose to. But it's so, I'm smiling because I keep playing around with it, hearing it in both ears. So anyway, yesterday the one that I did was fearlessness. And yeah, it felt good. So like I said, I will be bringing some of that energy into our work on YEMIG. And today, this lined up just beautifully. So it's Tosha, Outrageous Openness, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. And for those of you who have the book and love to follow along, it's called Signs of the Tide, and it's on page 88. How about that? My favorite number twice. Can't beat that. So let's see. Let me think here. Let me feel into this. Yeah, feels like we need one more breath. In through the nose. Out through the mouth, opening to receive. So the quote is from Matthew 2:9. After hearing the king, they went their way, and the star, which they had seen in the east, went on before them until it came and stood over the place where the child was. She says, I've been thinking about how following signs and omens is so central to my life. What do we have in our divine right timing and divine right order? I am open to all signs and messages. Say it yourself. I am open to all signs and messages. Since we're all part of a living, breathing, conscious universe, why wouldn't it speak to us and give direction? Indeed. Why wouldn't it send us messages and answers if only we opened the way? And we just did with that final breath, opening to receiving. So to me, operating without the help of signs would be like refusing to turn on the lights in a darkened room. Why stumble around tripping over furniture when the universe has the bulbs? Beautiful question. Why stumble around tripping over furniture when the universe has the bulbs? Yet people can be so busy trying to follow overamped logic, they don't realize they can just request a sign. And we in America have been heavily over-influenced by logic. Yes, there is much to be said for science, and there's much to be said for reason, and there's much to be said for logic. There is also much to be said for intuition and heart and soul led and following guidance. There's no reason they can't coexist. There is no reason they can't coexist. And I will tell you, some of the most brilliant insights and things that are innovations that have moved us forward have come from intuition. People are sleeping and all of a sudden something pops into place. They're breathing deeply. They're going for a walk in nature. They're doing the things that get them tuned within, and an answer comes. We can have both. We absolutely can have both. But we need to stop overvaluing one at the expense of the other. Let us continue. For all the fundamentalists talk that astrology is the work of the devil, the three wise men were guided during Christmas by a star, of all things. Some historians even insist that the travelers were clearly astrologers. But then again, contradictions are rampant in the good book. And in many indigenous cultures, it's considered precipitous and even disrespectful to nature to move forward without an appropriate sign. And right now, we have a whole lot of things going on that have that very feel to it. It is not only ignoring what nature is telling us, it's actively working against it. That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. So, here's a prayer I've used 1,000 times to make decisions. I hold the problem in my heart and inwardly say, please show me your divine will in this matter, and send a clear sign that gives the proper direction. And if for some reason I'm about to head in the wrong direction, please stop me. Send the signs. Send the signs. And then it is our job to attend to those signs, right? So she's going to share a couple stories here of the signs working for her. And I've talked a bazillion times about my next three things technique that opens people up to receiving their signs. But let's see these in the first place. Last autumn, I felt a strong longing to be in Mexico for the birthday of the Virgin of Guadalupe on December 12th. She's one of those glorious deities I love in all of my polyamorous devotional ardor. But on the logical level, the trip didn't make much sense. It was already Thanksgiving, much too late to plan a cost-effective trip. So I asked for a sign. Please show me if you wish me to go. If you do, please bring a sign and a miracle. Why not? Ask for the miracle. See what you get. 2 days later, I was walking in San Francisco, and I saw a young Mexican guy wearing a huge Guadalupe t-shirt. Nothing typical, almost like a colorful nightgown, all the way to his knees. Wow, I said, where did you get that? Oh, he looked down and laughed. I love her. I went home last year for her birthday. I was between jobs here, so it was like that joke. All I got was his big-ass t-shirt. When I booked my ticket that afternoon, everything flowed like a dream. A single last-minute frequent flyer seat appeared. Each place I called, from the airport shuttle to the San Miguel Inn, offered its final spot. Sometimes things just work out. This also happened once to my client Gigi from Massachusetts. She was trying to decide whether to go to Savannah, Georgia, a town she had never visited. If you haven't visited Savannah, go. It is cool. It is really cool. Let's see. Where am I? To see their art school. So she called in divine order and asked for a sign. Later that week, when she was out for dinner, she kept overhearing Savannah from a couple beside her. She soon discovered they lived half a year in her Cape Cod town and half a year in Savannah. They invited her to visit. After the universe went through the trouble of bringing them, Gigi told me, giggling, how could I not go? I mean, how random is that? Good morning, Diane. Glad you're here. How many of us have had that stuff happen, though, where we need something and it shows up? So I'll give you my classic example of that. And actually, oh, this is so funny. It involves Savannah, Georgia. I was going to my first round of the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, yeah, NICABM, and it was going to be held, now I'm blanking, it's the island off of Savannah. It'll come to me. Anyway, that's where they were holding it. Big, fancy, Tony kind of place. Anywho, I decided I was going. I was at that point working for a hospital system that did not value social workers, psychologists, any of that stuff. Any of us, humans, right? Did not value it. And I was already beginning to move in the direction of this just isn't working for me. But I decided to go to this. Nope, keep going. And maybe it's less of an island, maybe it's more peninsula. I don't know, but it's by Savannah. You fly into Savannah. Anywho, why is that? It's stuck. Anyway, it'll shake loose. So, I was going to go, and I picked out, typical Bonnie, right? They send the invitation, and it lists all of the various presentations, and so I'd circled everything I wanted to go to, right? Well, a little bit of flight delay, a little bit of, this delay, that delay, whatever. I get there the first day, and I'm a little bit behind schedule, which, if you know me, that drives me nuts. I'm the 10 minutes early girl. So I get to the first thing I want to go to, and they've closed the doors. The room is full. There's no room for me. I am so bent out of shape about that. I did not roll with shit very well back then. I was very planful. Now it's like, okay, that door closed. Which one's opening? So I wandered around. I'm like, well, rather than sit here picking my nose, I might as well go to something else. So I go into this one, and it's an indigenous man who's going to be teaching a healing technique, right? So I'm sitting there, and he's working on Indian time. So I think we waited like 10 minutes, and this very unassuming man comes strolling in, strolls up to the podium, and he says, I feel like we need a healing on the beach tonight. And there's a ripple through the audience, because some of them have seen him before. And he says, but I'm here, and my luggage went to, I forget where he said, but his stuff didn't come with him. It went somewhere else. It had far more adventure than he did. So he said, I don't have my drums, I don't have my tobacco, I don't have any of my sacred stuff. Someone in the audience yells, I have tobacco. Someone else in the audience yells, I have drums. By the time we made it to the beach, we had more than enough of all of what was needed, right? So again, he asked, he was open to receiving, he received. And it was a magical event on the beach. One of the things that happened there was there was a woman who would go out every morning and carve a labyrinth into the sand. And every night it would get washed away. But people would be out there all day long walking this labyrinth. It was just the coolest stuff. They no longer meet face to face, I don't believe. But I think they're still in existence. You could do NICABM and see what comes up. But a perfect example of what was needed showing up. And he was very open to receiving what he needed. How open are you to receiving what's needed? I went around and around and around with a client of mine the other night because she couldn't see where what she was needing was going to come from. And I told her, that's not your problem. You don't need to know where it's coming from. You merely need to request it and believe it's coming your way. And I pointed out several previous times where that indeed had happened to her, where she reluctantly, at my strong urging, was willing to ask for what she needed, and it showed up. And to the time, every time it showed up, it was not in a way that she could have predicted. So if she continues to hang herself up on, I must know ahead of time where it's coming from, she's never going to get there. If she can let go of herself a bit here and again go back into, yeah, those other times I had no idea where it was coming from. I just opened myself up to receiving. I can do that again. Whatever is needed will show up. It will show up. So, on that note, let's take a breath and repeat after me. Today the divine will show me the way. I am open to all signs and messages. The perfect steps are already picked, and I am guided to them. Moving through the world open to constant help gets easier and easier with practice. And there we are. And so it is. Have an awesome day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.